The Hart in the Ox Stall. A hart hotly pursued by the hounds fled for refuge in an ox stall and buried itself in a truss of hay, leaving nothing to be seen but the tip of his horns. Soon after the hunters came up and asked if anyone had seen the hart. The stable boys, who had been resting after their dinner, looked around but could see nothing, and the hunters went away. Shortly afterwards the master came in, and looking round, saw that something unusual had taken place. He pointed to the truss of hay and said, "What are those two curious things sticking out of the hay?" And when the boys came to look, they discovered the hart, and soon made an end of him. He thus learnt that nothing escapes the master's eye. The Fox and the Grapes. One hot summer's day, a fox was strolling through an orchard till he came to a bunch of grapes just ripening on a vine which had been trained over a lofty branch. "Just the thing to quench my thirst," he quoted. Drawing back a few paces, he took a run and a jump, and just missed the bunch. Turning round again, with a 1, a 2, a 3, he jumped up, but with no greater success. Again and again he tried after the tempting morsel, but at last had to give it up. He walked away with his nose in the air, saying, "I am sure those grapes are sour." It is easy to despise what you cannot get. The Horse, the Hunter, and the Stag. A quarrel had arisen between the horse and the stag, so the horse came to a hunter to ask his help to take revenge on the stag. The hunter agreed, but said, "If you desire to conquer the stag, you must permit me to place this piece of iron between your jaws, so that I may guide you with these reins, and allow this saddle to be placed on your back, so that I may keep steady upon you as we follow after the enemy." The horse agreed to the conditions, and the hunter soon saddled and bridled him. Then, with the aid of the hunter, the horse soon overcame the stag, and said to the hunter, "Now, get off, and remove those things from my mouth and back." "Not so fast, friend," said the hunter. "I have now got you under bit and spur, and prefer to keep you as you are at present. If you allow men to use you for your own purposes, they will use you for theirs." The Peacock and Juno. A peacock once placed a petition before Juno desiring to have the voice of a nightingale in addition to his other attractions. However, Juno refused this request. When the peacock persisted, he pointed out that he was her favorite bird, and she said, "Be content with your lot. One cannot be first in everything." The Fox and the Lion. When first the fox saw the lion, he was terribly frightened and ran away and hid himself inside the woods. Next time, however, he came near the king of beasts. He stopped at a safe distance and watched him pass by. The third time they came near one another, the fox went straight up to the lion and passed the time of day with him, asking him how his family was doing, and when he should have the pleasure of seeing him again. Then the fox turned his tail and he parted from the lion without much ceremony. Familiarity breeds contempt. The Lion and the Statue. A man and a lion were discussing the relative strength of men and lions in general. The man contended that he and his fellows were stronger than lions by reason of their greater intelligence. "Come now with me," he cried, "and I will soon prove that I am right." So he took him into the public gardens and showed him a statue of Hercules overcoming the lion and tearing his mouth in two. "That is all very well," said the lion, "but proves nothing, for it was a man who made the statue. We can easily represent things as we wish them to be." The Ant and the Grasshopper. In a field one summer's day, a grasshopper was hopping about, chirping and singing to its heart's content. An ant passed by, bearing along with great toil an ear of corn that he was taking to the nest. "Why not come and chat with me," said the grasshopper, "instead of toiling and moiling in that way?" "I am helping to lay up food for the winter," said the ant, "and I recommend that you do the same." "Why bother about winter?" said the grasshopper. "We have got plenty of food at present." But the ant went on its way and continued its toil. When the winter came, the grasshopper had no food and found itself dying of hunger. However, he saw the ants distributing every day corn and grain from the stores they had collected in the summertime. Then the grasshopper knew it is best to prepare for the days of necessity. The Tree and the Reed. "Well, little one," said a tree to a reed that was growing at its foot, "why do you not plant your feet deeply in the ground and raise your head boldly in the air as I do?" "I am contented with my lot," said the reed. "I may not be so grand, but I think I am much safer." "Safe!" sneered the tree. "Who shall pluck me up by the roots or bow my head to the ground?" But soon it had to repent its boasting, for a hurricane arose which tore it up from its roots and cast it off as a useless log laying on the ground, while the little reed, bending to the force of the wind, soon stood upright again when the storm had passed over. Obscurity often brings safety. The Fox and the Cat. A fox was boasting to a cat of its clever devices for escaping all of its enemies. "I have a whole bag of tricks," he said, "which contains 100 ways of escaping my enemies." "I only have one," said the cat, "but I can generally manage okay with that." Just at that moment they heard the cry of a pack of hounds coming towards them. The cat immediately scampered up a tree and hid herself in the boughs. "This is my plan," said the cat. "What are you going to do?" The fox thought first of one way, then of another, and while he was debating, the hounds came nearer and nearer, and at last the fox in his own confusion was caught up by the hounds and soon killed by the huntsman. The cat, who had been looking on from the tree, had said, Better to have one safe way than 100 of which you cannot reckon." The Wolf in Sheep's Clothing. A wolf found great difficulty in getting at the sheep, owing to the vigilance of the shepherd and his dogs. But one day it found the skin of a sheep that had been flayed and thrown aside, so it put the skin over its own pelt and strolled down among the sheep. The lamb that belonged to the sheep, whose skin the wolf was wearing, began to follow the wolf in the sheep's clothing. So, leading the lamb a little apart, he soon made a meal off of her, and for some time he succeeded in deceiving the sheep and enjoying hearty meal after hearty meal. Appearances can certainly be deceptive. The Dog in the Manger. A dog looking out for its afternoon nap jumped into the manger of an ox and laid there cozily upon the straw. But soon the ox, after returning from its afternoon work, came up to the manger and wanted to eat some of the straw. The dog, in a rage, being wakened from its slumber, stood up and barked at the ox. Whenever the ox came near, the dog attempted to bite it. At last, the ox had to give up hope of getting to the straw. The ox went away muttering, "Ah, people often grudge others what they cannot enjoy themselves." The Man and the Wooden God. In the old days, men used to worship sticks and stones and idols and prayed to them to give them good luck. It happened that a man had often prayed to a wooden idol he had received from his father, but his luck never seemed to change. He prayed and he prayed, but still he remained as unlucky as ever. One day, in the greatest rage, he went to the wooden god, and with one blow swept it down from its pedestal. The idol broke in two, and what did he see? An immense number of coins flying all over the place. Your luck may change when you least expect it.